Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi.
Afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
I'm not the presenter, by the way. Do we have a presenter present? No.
Doesn't look like it.
Maybe it's a social experiment and we'll be just left to our own devices.
Maybe, yes, maybe, to see who talks the most.
But I can see Neil though, Neil Shah. He's the main man.
He is the presenter.
Ah, right. I thought I recognised the name.
It's not very relaxing to be the presenter, though, is it?
No.
Well, he appears to be smiling, so that's a good start.
Hi,
To be fair,
everyone.
Neil's always smiling.
I'm letting the social experiment play out just to see what happens. I was just quietly observing what happens when you have a couple of hundred humans in the same physical, well, the same virtual space, and nobody says anything. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
So just
Thank
before
you.
we get started, this session is being recorded just to share with people that aren't able to attend live. It's amazing that we've already got almost 300 of us here. That number may go up as we continue. If there is anything shared in this session of a sensitive nature or potentially breaches any kind of confidentiality or of a safeguarding nature, that will be edited out before we share the recording. So I want you to feel like this is a safe space for you to open up and explore what can be a challenging or uncomfortable conversation, which we will come to. How many of you have ever found yourself feeling overwhelmed and confused with the amount of different information, sometimes conflicting information that's available regarding mental health, well-being, how to manage stress? Not only are we in a world of information overload, not all of the information that we have access to aligns. And people are often disagreeing with each other. And this is one of the things I want to explore as we get into this, is when there is too much information and often conflicting information, many people will actually go into apathy. We'll explore that. How many of you are interested in learning some actions to improve your well-being and turned up hoping to take something away? Great, many of you. Fantastic. How many of you do not know or even care about improving your well-being? You thought this was a how to get rich quick seminar. Okay, good. In that case, other than the few people that have got your hands up, everybody else is in the right place. I am not able to, I'm afraid, teach you how to get rich quick, because if I had the answer to that, I'd be doing that myself. What I am able to do is to take you on a journey of exploration to discuss and explore a subject that for many people can feel overwhelming. We don't know how to get started and sadly end up doing nothing at all. So firstly, who am I? I can see a lot of familiar faces. I love the fact we've got our regulars that turn up to our monthly sessions. I also see lots and lots of new faces. In fact, it looks like we've got about 350 people here, which is fantastic, particularly given this is Stress Awareness Month. How many of you have heard of Stress Awareness Month before? Okay, many of you. By the fact that you're here, you probably got a newsletter or saw us on social media, which means that you probably have come across our information about Stress Awareness Month. It's an annual campaign that we've been running for several decades now, since we very first came into existence, as a way of raising awareness and creating safe spaces for people to open up and talk about issues around stress, mental health, well-being, and start to tackle some of the guilt, shame, and stigma associated with the subject. Who are we? So we're now an international non-profit organization that was set up essentially to create an opportunity for people to access the advice, support, and guidance they need to be able to move themselves and their organizations, teams, communities forward when it comes to tackling issues around stress and poor mental health. We do also have a research and consultancy arm called International Wellbeing Insights, through which we work with some of the biggest companies on the planet, including companies like Philips, Mars, and various other organizations. So we've got a good understanding of the human experience, but also the ever-changing nature of the human experience. Because even though when we came into existence 21 years ago, we believed that the world is only going to get better because of the way that technology and healthcare and communication was advancing, that things would only get better. Actually, we were very wrong. Things have got more challenging. And from a mental and emotional perspective, we've got bigger issues today than we did in 2003. Because bear in mind, 2003 was before the iPhone, was before Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And the world was a little bit more simple then. So now we've got to tackle the complexities of how we live, work, and communicate today, added to the mental and emotional pressure that creates for people. And I think even though there are challenges, there is also hope. I've read in the paper today that they're considering in the UK banning mobile phones for under 16s because the data now is proving that this is contributing to poor mental and emotional health and sadly suicidality amongst teens. So it feels like we're slowly starting to recognize that it's the choices and decisions that we make that lead us to this state of overwhelm, which then can cause stress, burnout, poor mental health, and sadly mental illness. So this session is not about telling you what you should be doing. This is not about me going through, here's the 10 steps to deal with stress. I wrote that book 8 years ago. In fact, I'm not sure I'd necessarily write the same book today if I was to write another book about stress. Because if I sat here and told you the top 10 things that you can do to deal with stress, and you should take time to get your thoughts out of your head and put them in your journal. You need to make time for physical activity and walk for at least half an hour a day without your technology, to have some time for a gratitude practice, have some mindfulness practice. I would literally get to point 3 or 4 out of 10 points, and you'd be more stressed out than before I started. Because what would you be saying to yourself? I'm busy, overwhelmed. Now you want me to find time to do the things to manage my stress as well? So interestingly, the things that we know can bring us benefit when it comes to managing our stress are the things that we generally don't have the time or the energy for. How many would agree with that statement? You know it's good for you, but we struggle to get the time in. Let's put this to the test. If we think about the top 4 things that we can do to improve our health, what would be those top 4? Firstly, starting with hydration. What is the commonly accepted advice on how much water we should consume? Just drop it in the chat. Like, you've all heard it before. How much water should we drink?
4 liters.
2 liters, right? Like, we've all heard the 2 liters or the 8 glasses. Some of you are putting in 3, 4, 5, 7 liters. Yeah, you're right. But the general kind of information that's put out there is 2 liters or 8 glasses. This will vary depending on where in the world you are. And we've got a global audience today, which I'm really grateful for. In the UK, we have guidance around how many bits of fruits and vegetables we should eat. I know it's different in different parts of the world, but generally, what are we told is the right amount of fruits and vegetables. Yes, my UK people here are all saying the 5 bits a day because that's what we've heard. That was kind of some government guidelines that were put out, and I'm also seeing some different answers there. And I appreciate, particularly in Australia and in the US, they have different guidance around this. But typically, we've heard the 5 portions a day. How much sleep should we get in a night? Was the kind of the generally accepted guidance? Yeah, 7 to 8 hours, right? We've all heard that. So again, you've all heard this information. You can just see from the chat. And most people have also come across this notion of how many steps we should walk. How many steps should we walk in a day?
6,000.
Yep, 10,000. Now, here's the thing. Just like we've proven, we all know the information, right? We all know we should drink 2 liters of water a day, eat 5 bits of fruits and vegetable, sleep 7 or 8 hours a night, or walk 10,000 steps. How many of you actually do that every day? You cover those 4 boxes, the 4 basics. Oh, okay, you've got like 3 hands going up out of almost 400 people. So this is what I am here to explore. A lot of people, when they attend these kind of sessions, you'll see either their facial expressions, or they'll directly tell you, I know this, or they'll finish the session and say, that was a really useful reminder, but I knew this stuff already. Forgive me for being blunt, and I say this with complete love and respect. I do not care what you know. I care what you do. Because knowing you've got to do these things brings no benefit to your life. You have to actually take action. How many would agree with that? Knowing that you've got to sleep 8 hours, walk 10,000 steps, drink 2 liters of water a day, and eat 5 bits of fruits and vegetables does not do anything for your life unless you take action. And that, my friends, is why the theme for Stress Awareness Month this year is little by little, a little becomes a lot. When we feel overwhelmed, when there's too much, a lot of people go into apathy and they do nothing. You're just trying to get through the day, the week, the month, the year. And before you know it, years have rolled past and you are just going through the motions to try and get through your day. You arrive at the weekend and you just want to rest. And we find it hard to get the things that really bring us benefit into our lives. And for those of you who've been following our journey over the last few years, you'll remember our theme last year was #ChooseHope. And that was because we recognized hope inspires action. People that have hope that their health can improve are likely to take action to make their health improve. Does that make sense? Because the hope inspires action. It's not just a feeling. You're likely to do something with that hope. So you're likely to get off the sofa and go for a walk, go to the gym, do some exercise, do some yoga, go for a swim, eat healthy, sleep well, if you believe that these actions are going to bring you positive benefit. People that have hope that they can do better in their career are more likely to take the action and push themselves to progress in their career. People that have hope their relationships can improve will take the action to contribute to the improvement in their relationships. People have hope that the world can get better, generally take action to make the world better. What I'm saying here is hope is what is so desperately required in a time where so many people are looking at the world around us and are losing hope. And this isn't just our thoughts. Harvard did a study that people that have hope generally live longer, have happier, healthier lives, have better relationships, and are financially generally better off. It's because that hope has been the fuel that's driven them forward. However, one of the challenges with hope is even if you believe things can get better, if you overwhelm yourself, then you get kind of you get to the point where you get stuck and you go into apathy. So this is where really this year we decided to distill that kind of message down into something that's actionable. Because what we found, and how many would agree with me on this, bad decisions lead to other bad decisions. You've had a stressful day, you get home, you pour yourself a glass of wine, sit on the sofa and have a bit of a doom scroll. You know, you find yourself in a scroll hole for half an hour, drinking that wine, flicking through Instagram, TikTok, your social media drug of choice. Rather than getting out, going for a walk, going to the gym, doing a swim, doing some yoga, whatever. And after you spent a bit of time scrolling through social media, you see, I don't know, a food a food profile, and it kind of gets you feeling hungry. So you decide to order some food in because you're tired, you've had a glass of wine, you're slumped on the sofa, you can't be bothered to cook, so you order a takeaway in. Takeaway comes, you decide to stick the TV on, put something on a box set on Netflix, you get through the first episode, the food's now finished on a cliffhanger, end up watching the second episode. Get sort of 3/4 into the second episode and you're starting to feel a bit peckish again. Grab that chocolate bar, box of chocolates, maybe a cup of tea. Before you know it, you're 3 episodes in, it's almost bedtime. You turn the TV off, but you're still feeling a bit wired. So you're back on your phone, scrolling again. Before you know it, you've gone to bed a little bit later than you should have, and you've actually done nothing to uplift yourself. Okay, only 3. I'm kind of joking here, but the fact there are so many people in the chat saying, oh my God, that's me, this is my life. And there's been a few times in my life where I've done that as well. How many of you can relate to this, can understand this, or have actually found yourself doing this at times? Okay, several of you. Easily done. How many of you, when you've had that same kind of day, you get home, you are tired, you are exhausted, the sofa is calling, but you decide, you commit, you force yourself to go out for a walk, go to the gym, go for a bike ride, do a run, take the dog out? How many of you have ever done that before? Okay, great. What happens? How do you feel afterwards?
Feel a bit better, clearer mind.
Absolutely. You feel better, clearer mind, more energy. You then come home after the walk with the dog, after the run, after the gym session. What kind of a state are you in now? Your energy's lifted. You're in a better state of mind. You're probably hungry. But if you've just done a gym session and your mood has been uplifted, how do you think you're likely to react differently? What kind of choices are you likely to make that are different to the choices that you'd make if you just come home and collapsed on the sofa? Okay, like some of you saying that you might actually have the energy to cook something, and if you cook something, you might make a better food choice, so you might make healthier choices. As Sarah's saying, you feel in control. Okay, so great. You've now sat down and had something healthier to eat. Your energy is a bit more uplifted. You're in a better mood. How might you use that energy differently than being collapsed in front of a box set? You still might watch TV. Sorry, say that again, Andrea?
I sleep better at night.
You'll sleep better at night? You might find yourself doing something useful. Some people are saying housework, reading, maybe spend some time with the family, maybe even do something social, like go and see a friend or have a catch up with people you care about. Do something a bit more productive because your energy is such that you're not just going to be like, oh, I've got no energy. Now, if you've had an evening like that, you then get into bed, would we agree, because we've eaten healthy, we are going to be a little bit more tired because we've done something energetic, we're more likely to make a decision to do something positive and uplifting for ourselves, it means you're going to get a better night's sleep. What I'm saying, and how many would agree with me on this, that good decisions lead to better good decisions. How many would you agree with that statement? That when you do one good thing, it leads to other good things? And also, would we agree the reverse is true? Bad decisions lead to other bad decisions. Okay, great. So if that's the case, we all now understand the theme for this year's Stress Awareness Month, which we'll come to in a second. But just a reminder for newbies today's session, this isn't a lecture. It's an interactive session. There's lots of opportunities for you to get involved. You can put your messages into the chat function. My colleague, Catherine, who is here, Catherine, give us a wave. So you should all now see Catherine waving at you. Is here to support and bring in any messages in the chat. Also, if you've got something to share, you are able to unmute yourself. So just feel free to get involved. And there's going to be lots of opportunities for you to share your thoughts, feelings, and perspectives. So do ask your questions, disagree with me, seek clarification, tell me to slow down, whatever you need at any time, let me know. And just to test that you can use the chat function, if you could all just put a message in with your name and where in the world that you are from, just so we can see what our global spread is today. We're very fortunate we get people from all around the world. So yeah, just let us know where you're from. Ground rules, just to be sure that we have a safe place to work. We only have a short session, so we encourage you to be present, limit distractions where possible, put your 50% in. So what you put in will determine what you take out. Be open, honest, respectful, have an open mind to new ways of doing things, new ways of exploring things. Do not share anyone's personal stories or information outside of this session without their express permission. And for safeguarding reasons, if anybody mentions anything in this space that impacts your safety or the safety of others, that's the only time that the rules around confidentiality will be broken. Okay, so as I said, we have now introduced in the little by little theme. So little by little, a little becomes a lot. Small actions to improve and focus on your well-being can have massively transformative effects. Often we get overwhelmed with the big grand plan, and then we find that one or two things go wrong and the whole plan gets derailed and we chuck it out the window and never think about it again. I would much rather we decide on doing something and stick to it for at least 30 days. Because 30 days is generally how long it takes for a human being to form a new habit or a new behavior. And at that point, you'll start to be able to notice and witness the benefits it's bringing, and hopefully that will continue to inspire you to continue to make positive changes. So we talked about this age of information overload. Let's start by talking about this. Before we go to solutions, let's talk about the challenge. And now, just before I progress, I've got a couple of hands up if you've got something to share. So Olga, Jess, Craig, and Carrie Sand, if you've got your hands up, if there's something you'd like to share, feel free to unmute yourself. Or it may be that you just put your hands up to something and haven't taken it down. But if you do have a question, comment, or something to share, now's your opportunity. Okay, all good. If you do have something to share, feel free to unmute yourself. So let's start with this. Information overload. How many of you feel that we're bombarded with content every day telling us what the world is like, how to live our lives, what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong? Yeah, it seems like on every channel, whether that be social media, through our emails, through our televisions, through the news, even through discussions we're having with the people around us, WhatsApp groups, discussions at work, meetings, where it's just more information. And is that information overwhelmingly positive or negative? Are we being told about how great and wonderful things are and how amazing humans are and what a wonderful world we live in? Is that typically the message that we're getting? No, as many of you are saying in the chat, it's negative. And how do you think that programs our minds? And this would be great where, you know, if you feel comfortable, jump on the microphone. If you want, you just stick your hands up and I'll mute you. Tell me about what you feel about the world around us and how the information is programming us and what is that information programming us to think, act and believe. Deborah, you got your hand up, go for it.
I think I stopped watching the news during COVID because I have COPD, so I didn't go out for like months and months and months and months. And I viewed the pandemic through the television screen. And I can remember when there was a march, it was when George Floyd got killed in the States. And that's all I could see was these thousands of people in London. And my husband came in, he said, "What's the matter?" And sat there crying. I went, "I'm never going to get out of this house. People are being silly." So ever since then, I will watch the headlines on the news, but I won't watch the doom and gloom and despondency, because I know it affects my mental health in a very negative way. Now, I think that's what's going on in the world. That's all I need to know. And then I'll go and either watch something that's a little bit happy or read something. And just not, I just try not to think about it. I'm not being an ostrich. I just don't want to be exposed to that level of violence, negativity, etc., etc.
And this is a really interesting point, because if we watch the news, what kind of image are we going to get of the world? There's wars, there's death, there's devastation, there's destruction, there's financial issues and political challenges, and it's constantly filled with things of drama, trauma, and dread, right? How many would agree with that? Gillian, I saw your message around the and finally. In the UK in particular, up until probably about 15, 20 years ago, for those of you that haven't come across this, the final item on the news, the news program would be a positive, uplifting story, and it would be and finally something great happened. They stopped doing that. It's interesting. They stopped sharing the good news or the positive story at the end of the news, which is something that is
that a lot.
actually.
In fact, actually, my son and I were talking about that the other day, and that we don't actually see anything decent on the news anymore, like that last little tiny bit.
Absolutely, which is fascinating, because is this true? Is the world just filled with doom, gloom, disaster and destruction, disease and death?
Definitely not. Can I jump in? Definitely not. I like to travel. I haven't traveled much in the last year, but when I do travel, I meet, well, I would say 98% of the people I meet are very, very friendly and all feel the same way and want a happy, peaceful life.
Thank you, Ivan. I completely agree with you, but we're not getting that perspective. I see as many, if not more, examples of amazing people doing wonderful things, the world filled with opportunity, inspiration, adventure, and potential, as I do of challenges and disaster. But we don't hear about that. So we are literally being programmed with the negative. And this is where, you know, as has already been mentioned, sometimes being careful and curating the information that is going into your mind to ensure you are having a balanced perspective. Because I, like Ivan, get to travel the world. We have projects running all over the world. Even when we're not traveling, we're running virtual sessions with people from all around the world. And I still have optimism, hope, and faith that things will get better. But we just have to be really careful not to believe the doom and gloom, because then that starts programming you. And then what happens? You lose hope, because you start to believe the stories and you lose the hope that things can get better. How do we keep the hope alive? Focus on what you want rather than what you don't want. So this is where, as much as, you know, communication, technology, social media, cell phones, the internet, email has brought us some benefits, there are also some challenges with it. It's kind of like we're teenagers figuring our way out with technology. And we haven't really got to a mature relationship with our technology where we work for it more than it working for us. Does that make sense? Where it's like the phone blinks, it's like, yes, master, I am here. I'm answering your message. Oh, yeah, like on social media. Yes, I will respond, and I will be controlled by what's happening on my device, rather than this is here to serve me, and it will help me to do what I need to do, but I'm not reliant on it. It doesn't control my life. Does that make sense? So I'm not here just to bash technology, because we wouldn't be here having this conversation if it wasn't for technology. What I'm asking for us to consider is how much is it contributing to our positive well-being and how much is it negatively impacting us. And this is really where what we are here to explore today is how we can start a process, undertake a challenge, an experiment for 30 days to form a new habit or a new behavior, which over time could actually change the course of our life. Because if you are traveling in a particular direction, even a 1 degree shift today over time takes you to a completely different place. So this is really where we're going to explore what might happen if you try to drastically change your daily routine. And my colleague Catherine has shared a post there. And Catherine, I'm going to bring you in a minute just to talk about this, because I know obviously you've done the research on this. There's a lady called Madeline Dorr that she did some research and implemented her perfect daily routine. We've got the link there, which has just come into your chat, which you can have a read. But Catherine, do you want to just share what happened to her? Because she came up with some incredible actions. She stuck to them. And actually, just before even Catherine shares, what do you think happened? That she chose, I think it was 30 different things she was going to do for this kind of month of creating the perfect daily routine. What happened? Unless you read this, you won't know, but have a guess. What would you feel would happen? She keeled over. Yeah. Okay.
Too much.
Too much. Uh-huh. I bet those felt good. She became happy, overwhelmed, lost her job. It's an interesting one, Louise. If I did my perfect morning routine, do some exercise, do some stretch, do some yoga, some meditation practice, some journaling, etc., etc. If I did my full perfect morning routine, I'd be going till 7 o'clock in the evening. I wouldn't have time for anything else. So it's an interesting one. Catherine, do you want to put us out of our misery and let us know what happened to Madeline when she did her perfect daily routine?
Yeah, so at the end of the 30 days, she thought that she was going to have some sort of superhuman routine, but she said that she was just exhausted by the end. She said, if this experiment taught me anything, it's not about filling our lives with more things to do, but getting better at filling them with the things we want to do.
I think I couldn't have summed that up any better myself. And this is really where, particularly at the moment, you can attend many sort of webinars, find videos on YouTube, and influence on Instagram and TikTok. And these are the things you must do. And they show you an image or a video or a picture of their picture perfect life, and then waking up in the morning and doing their yoga and their meditation and whatever. But that's not the reality for most of us. And exactly as Catherine said, is doing what brings you benefit and you enjoy. And it's better to choose one thing and do it well than overwhelming yourself with too many things. In the same way, if you attend a workshop, a session, a presentation where they give you 1,000 bits of valuable knowledge and you do nothing with it, it's brought you no benefit. I would much prefer you attend sessions where you get maybe 1 or 2 golden nuggets of information and you do something with it, because that's going to bring more benefit to your life. So this is really where actually the acronym that I would offer is KISS. Keep it stupidly simple. The more simple it is, the more likely you are to take action against it. And that's really what we are here to explore under the little by little theme. How can we compel you to take on board our 30-day challenge, to take part in the experiment and see what happens? And as we're saying here, the healthy habits, keeping them short and sweet are the keys to success. So this is one of our colleagues who's decided to have a bath in a cup of herbal tea once a day for 30 days. I believe that's what the image is representing, if I've read that right, Catherine. But the key thing here is SMART goals. Are they realistic? If you say that I'm going to run 10K every day, you've never run before, you start work at 7 in the morning, typically don't get home from work till 7 in the evening, you've got a young family, you've got other commitments, you might not find the time for that. So make sure it's realistic. I'd much prefer that you said, I'm going to go out and run or walk for 15 minutes and be able to stick to it, than choose an audacious goal, which you're just simply not going to be able to manage. So start small and start manageable. Remember, you can always scale it up, but start with the simple manageable goals. And also choose something you enjoy, because when you choose something you enjoy, you are more likely to stick to it. One of my actions is to pick up my drum every day for 5 minutes, and I love playing it. And at the moment, I've got friends staying over, and we're jamming in the front room for about 45 minutes, and it was easy. So that's something that brought me benefit, uplifted my spirits, some physical activity. I was sweaty and out of breath at the end of it, but also it didn't feel like I was doing something to tick a box. It was just a moment of joy. So what we are looking for here is actions that will de-stress you, not add stress to you, because otherwise it's like, oh my God, I've got to do the thing. That being said, there is the story of Eat the Frog, which we're going to come to in a second. So talk about the science behind it, and then we'll start exploring together what kind of things that we could do. So what's the science behind it? Even something as simple as 10 minutes of light exercise, which could be a brisk walk, it could be stretching, it could be running up and down the stairs 10 minutes. It not only improves your cognitive ability, but it improves your mood. 10 minutes of mindfulness or meditation reduces stress and anxiety and improves emotional regulation. So mindfulness for me is just being present in the moment. It could be just observing my breath, looking out the window, feeling the breeze in my face, hearing the sound of the leaves rustling, is bringing myself back to this present moment. It could be just doing a body scan. So these are simple little things that you can do that can bring about tremendous benefit. And there are 5 buckets, 5 areas of life that are essential for us to manage. Hydration, how well hydrated we're staying. Sleep, how we are ensuring that we're getting the right quality of sleep. Physical activity and movement, what we put into our bodies, and also kind of time for social activities. So these are the areas, at some level we all know them to be important. What are the barriers? What stops you from doing the things that you know are going to bring you benefit? So we'd love to hear from some of you. If you've got something you'd like to share, please stick your hand up. We'd like to hear from some of you on the microphone. So as I see the hands going up, I'll give you a shout and you can jump on. So Olga, Jess, David, Geeta, you've all got your hands up. If you would like to share, please unmute yourself.
Hi, Neil. Hi, everybody.
Hi. Hi, Sarah.
It's Geeta. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Geeta.
No problem. I think one of the biggest challenges for me has been health.
Okay.
I want to do everything. Like you said, yeah, we are aware that we need to eat, sleep, exercise, diet. I do manage to hydrate myself. That's the one thing that I've always prided upon. I have 2.5 liters every single day. I'm able to do that. But sleep, no, I can't sleep because of my pain. I can't exercise because of chronic pain. I do eat well. I always make sure I eat well. So what is within my limits that I'm able to do? But health is a massive challenge, especially when you have chronic conditions. I think that can be a massive challenge for people. And even though you want to do what's good and you know what's right, I've seen that it can pose a massive, it's a cycle, isn't it? I want to feel better physically. I can't do things to feel better. That pulls me down mentally and that pulls me down physically. So it's like a really severe cycle, a really bad one. And that's what's been going on. It's like I try to get out of it, but I have to keep crawling and I keep slipping back 1 step ahead, 4 steps behind.
Perfect. And I appreciate you sharing that. And obviously it's not perfect that you're having that challenge, but I really appreciate you sharing. So
Yeah.
Even if you're taking steps forward and sliding back, you're still in some way taking action. Right. And I appreciate that when we're having those experiences, we focus on what we can't do. What can you do?
Like I said, I do manage to hydrate myself. Whenever I have the patience, patience is the wrong word. Whenever I have the energy, I go for a walk. And I don't socialize because mostly I'm indoors, but I love spending time with my family. That's my idea of having a good time socializing. So whatever little bit I can incorporate, I always try and do that. And my exercise mostly, I think, comes in the kitchen. I always make healthy, fresh meals. So I make sure that I stick to it no matter what. I love doing that. It's one of my passions. So even though I'm going through pain, I push through the pain and do it. So I think if you like something really, you can push past the pain as well, which is what I do when it comes to certain things. So I know that there are positive things, but sometimes, like I said, it's difficult to concentrate on the positive when your body is really pulling you down. So it's a constant struggle. But well, I manage to smile through the day. Even if I fake the smile till I make it. So that helps a lot. I keep smiling all the time, even if I'm feeling down. And finally, it actually turns into an actual smile. So I think it works.
Thank you, Geeta. And I think, I appreciate Geeta sharing there. And the key thing is that even if it's those little things, the little walk, how we can increase it even by a couple of minutes every day. So we're making progress. So regardless of the things that don't work, we're able to start to consider how our actions over time can start to build and bring more and more benefit. I've got a few more hands up. Craig, David, Jess, any of you guys have something to share around what are your barriers? What stops you taking action?
Yeah. I've got something to share. So I'm Craig. I think the world is very competitive. So for me, just looking at things like, the social media thing that you mentioned there, we're seeing other people's experiences and we're jumping onto their bandwagon, and that sort of that creates a bit of a negative mindset for me personally when, I see people say, oh, look, I had a good 12-hour sleep. And I'm like, okay, I was lucky to get 4. When you see people socializing and you see all the happy smiley faces through a camera, and then you sort of realize actually spent the last 20 minutes, fighting for that smile, particularly when they've got, children, non-compliant children, etc. Exercise for me, a barrier would be, you're going to the gym. And today it's not about work. Well, obviously it's about working out, but the amount of people that I've seen, just taking photos of themselves, taking photos of their, of their equipment. And then all of a sudden, you lift 25 kg, somebody lifts 30 kg, and you're thinking, well, why can't I lift 30 kg? So again, it becomes competitive. For me, looking at the sort of positive there, I hit a certain age, I hit a milestone, and I realized that life is not about other people. Life is about me. So if I want to exercise, I'm going to exercise in my own remit, in my own sort of at my own pace, looking at how much I drink, looking at what I eat. That's nobody else's business. So I tend to feel like I'm not influenced by society. I'm no longer influenced by that competitive the competitive world. As far as sleep, only I can control that. So go to bed earlier, think about things like you've already said, cut away the screen time, reduce my caffeine, look at what I'm eating, looking at what sort of time in the day I'm starting to feel sluggish, looking at things like socializing. And even if I only happen to get out, once in a blue moon, I make sure that I go out with the right people. So again, we're not in that sort of constant circle of negativity, and I guess it's going to come to everybody, if not already, where you start to sort of put yourself first. And I think that's where I'm at, really. I'm no longer competitive in the big wide world.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, Craig, and I agree. The only thing that I might sort of frame slightly differently is that a bit of competition is good if you're competing with yourself. My goal is every day to be better than I was the day before, if that makes sense. So there's a bit of healthy competition.
Yeah,
it's like, how can I continue to improve myself? And the only person I'm comparing myself is against a previous version of myself. So Neil May 2024 is better than Neil February 2024, and then continue to consider what actions am I taking so I'm moving forward in a positive way. So yeah, I absolutely agree with what you're saying, and fine. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So as I said, like this today is not about giving you more information. It's not like do this, do that, and do the other, and everything will be great, because you kind of already know what to do. And if you attended our webinars and sessions before, if you've attended any of our workshops or read any of our materials, you'll know that we have shared a lot of stuff in the past. That is not what today is about. This is about the commitment that you are willing to make to yourself, to your family, to your community, to your workplace, where individually and collectively we can start working together to create a better future. Because we can't wait for someone else to do it for us. There are people out there that will help to patch you up should things go wrong, like the doctor if you get ill, or there might be people around you that might be able to help should things go wrong. But your job is to look at how do we build the resilience and ensure that we are best equipped to navigate whatever challenges life throws at us. And what I'm talking about right now is, if we're going to go through a journey like this, the first thing we need to do is put some scaffolding up around our container. So that scaffolding is holding your structure strong as you start to develop more resilience. What does that scaffolding look like? Well, it's the things that you see on the screen. It's the basics, the essentials, the things that you need for optimal well-being. Because how many would agree that when you are dehydrated, that doesn't just affect your physical state? How many agree that affects your mental and emotional state as well? You feel cloudy, fuzzy, you've got a headache, you can't think clearly when you're dehydrated. How many would agree that you're more stressed, angry, frustrated, overwhelmed when you are tired and haven't slept well? How many would agree that your physical well-being is directly connected to your mental and emotional well-being? When you exercise and go to yoga, go for the walks, go to the gym, lift heavy stuff, ride your bike, your mental and emotional state improve as well. Okay, the things that you see on screen, and I'm going to go through the rest of them. I'm not an expert in them. I am an expert in mental and emotional well-being, but I can tell you every single one of these is significant contributing factors to your mental and emotional well-being. And these are the things that will allow you to stay in a strong and resilient place. How many would agree that what you put into your mouth, what you eat, what you put into your belly has a direct correlation to your mental and emotional state? They actually say that the gut is the second brain, and digestive health is directly connected to mental and emotional health. Now, how many would agree with that? You all kind of know that to be true because you get those butterflies in your tummy or like digestive problems when you're stressed. The two are directly connected. And how many would also agree that our network, our social circles, our friends, our family, our community, and our ability to feel connected to the people around us has a direct impact on mental and emotional state? Absolutely. These aren't my thoughts. These are not my opinions. These are underpinned by facts, by data. I live in London. London recently won an award I'm not proud of, because London won the award of being the loneliest city on the planet. How is that possible? I found myself asking myself. There's 8.5 million of us in London. How can anyone possibly feel lonely? Well, here's the thing. There's a big difference between being alone and being lonely. What does it mean to be alone? And what does it mean to be lonely? If you just stick your answers in the chat, let's see what your thoughts are. Yeah, as Julian's saying, you can feel lonely in a crowd of people. Alone, solitude, alone is a physical act. There is no one physically around. Does that make sense? So there's no one physically around means I am alone. Lonely is, exactly as Jack's saying, a feeling of isolation. It doesn't matter who's there and who's not. I have an absence of meaningful connection with other people. Does that make sense? This is the key point of differentiation here. You can live in a city like London, New York, Dubai, Paris, and there's millions of people around you, and you can feel totally alone. Sorry, totally lonely, even though you are never alone. You could be up the top of a mountain on a meditation retreat by yourself with not another human being for 25 miles and feel totally connected. Even though you are physically alone, you do not feel lonely. Does that make sense? It's interesting that some of the things that have come up, and as was shared earlier, there are many people that particularly a few years ago during lockdown, for whatever reason, were not able to communicate and socialize in the ways they normally would in person. And what we're finding is society never went back to the full levels of societal interaction post-COVID. Many of us working remotely or hybrid now more so than we did pre-COVID. Socialization has gone down. Things like, you know, I've seen reports about significantly less people go to the cinema, go to pubs. You know, cinemas are closing down. The social activities have diminished and never returned to the point they were pre-COVID. So people aren't meeting in person in the ways that we used to. There is a direct cost to that people are feeling lonelier. So all of these things, even though there is a physical impact, there's also a corresponding mental and emotional impact. So for us to have our structure strong, we need to make sure that these are ticked off. These are the basics that we need to have in our days. Just as we would have it locked into our calendar to work, to sleep, to eat, to do the things that are necessary, to walk the dog if you have a dog, because there are consequences if you don't do these things. In the same way, there are consequences of not having these things written into your daily schedule. So how can we start taking action? This is an opportunity for us to brainstorm some small manageable actions that could implement into our daily routines. So have a moment to ponder, stick something in the chat. What I'd love to hear from some of you that either have undertaken the challenge and started putting small actions into your day and notice the benefits over time, or if you're willing to make a commitment right here, right now, and you have a sense of the benefit it could bring to you. So I've seen lots of things coming into the chat, journaling, 10 minutes of mindfulness. So if any of you have actually done something, made a commitment and started on it, I'd love for you to share what your experience has been and what benefit that's brought to you, particularly those little actions like 10 minutes of journaling, 10 minutes of mindfulness, 20-minute walk. How has that changed your life? And let's see who's got their hands up. I've got Teresa.
Hi. So at Christmas, it was a particularly time, isn't it? Christmas. So I
Uh-huh.
decided in January that I would start with yoga. And I went to my first class, which is obviously quite daunting, but nearly 4 months in now, I'm actually attending 5 times a week. I've met some really lovely people, and I find now for that hour, I actually give myself permission to not think about anything else.
Oh, amazing. And it's amazing that it can start with one class, and before you know it, that it's easy to make a bigger commitment. But starting small is the way to go. Carrie-san, I love the kitchen disco. That's a great idea. I love a bit of that too. You know, dancing around the kitchen while you're making your breakfast, lunch, or dinner is a great thing to do. Hannah, what's your commitment? Hannah Earls?
And I found that it helped. And then I started finding apps on the phone that I can use, because it's sometimes difficult to have that notebook on you. So I've got it on my phone, an app called Gratitude, and it just prompts you twice a day to write a few things about nature, how you're feeling. For me, getting things out from the inside onto a piece of paper is such a cleansing exercise. I can find what my issues are. Why am I upset? Why am I angry? Why am I happy? And it's really good for power of attraction as well, because you're constantly in gratitude mode. So that really helped me.
Amazing. And it's interesting that the process of getting it out to put on a piece of paper, you yourself have to think about it or articulate it in a different way to be able to express it. The same is also true when talking and sharing with another. Because would you agree, just the process of having to explain it to someone else, or to, to filter it, to put it onto your journal, means that you're more likely to look at it in a different way than you would if you hadn't had the chance to do that. So yeah, amazing. Lisa McGuinness, you've got your hand up.
I do a dance every morning when I get up.
Love
Every
it.
morning. It depends. I get bored really quickly. So sometimes I like a mix the music up, but then some days if I feel a bit painful, I've got a little space hopper in my garden, you know, that big orange space. So I might do that one day, or I've tried yoga, but I can't cope with it. So I kind of do lots of little things that make me happy. And I've got a big sign in my kitchen just saying, do one thing every day that makes you happy.
I love that.
Just keep it simple.
And this again underpins the little by little, a little becomes a lot. So amazing. Ajit Kaur, what would you like to share?
So I have this thing where I don't like being afraid of things. I think that a lot of the time the fear of something is what stops you from doing other things in your daily routine, and that could then spread into what you do that week or that month or that year. So I actually have an extreme side, so I jump off things, but I've kind of jumped off of pretty much everything I can think of now. So now I'm tackling water, and I think this year what I decided to do was start swimming. And so I stick to it. I go once a week and I swim, and I'm learning and I make mistakes and I look stupid, and that's fine. And for that 45 minutes, it's okay to be exactly that and vulnerable, and exposing yourself to something that you're not comfortable with, wearing very little, and coping with that. One thing I do have a question on, though, on the back end of that, is that sometimes I'm finding that whilst I'm doing all of these things, it's not changing the way that I'm feeling once they're finished. So whilst I'm doing them, I'm okay. But all these things that I'm going through are still there. They're just parked outside the door for me and waiting for me for when I finish what I'm doing. So my question is, well, how do you deal with that? Because literally, it's all good and well sort of distracting your mind and teaching it to do all these wonderful things, which is great. But actually, your problems are still at that door waiting for you for when you finish those things and you can pick them up again, because they don't go away. So how do you change that perspective?
So, Ajay, I have a question for you. Yes, the problems don't go away. Do you feel better or less equipped to deal with your problems, given the fact that you're able to do something to positively uplift yourself through swimming or whatever other activities you engage in?
And
does it
the
help
honest,
you or does it diminish you?
well, the honest answer to that is sometimes it does both. There are days when I'm really optimistic, and stepping away from a problem and then coming back to it does help you, and that's good, and that's what it's meant to do. But there are other days when it does not. And I think what I'm saying here is probably an accurate reflection for many of us, to be fair, because there are going to be days where we can do what we can do to the best of our ability, but ultimately it's not going to change what we're going through or how we're feeling at that moment.
Absolutely, and Ajay, I'm not disputing that. Would you agree, though, that the healing journey or the resilience journey is not linear? It's not like one day is better than the day before. Would you agree with that statement?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I appreciate it's always going to be a work in progress. I'm not thinking about there being an ultimate solution to every single problem I ever have in my life, because ultimately we are evolving and so do our problems. And I get that. But I suppose what I'm trying to get at is trying to diminish the impact of these things, because some of the core principal things that we are experiencing, they remain just as painful as they've always been, if that makes sense. And it's tackling them that I want to sort of see how I can dent that, block and sort of diminish that.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I guess the point I'm making is the overall trajectory you'll find when you make these commitments is generally upwards. We've tracked people for many years that have been on our programs, and it's up and down, but the overall trend is that they're getting better at handling their problems. And this is where I said, like, if there's a way that you can check in with yourself, if there's kind of a mood or a gratitude journal that you're keeping, or kind of you're doing some self-awareness activity, you will notice over time, if you stick to your commitments, that you get better at dealing with your things. And that's something that I'd encourage you to explore. And I'm more than happy to have a follow-up conversation. And this is really the next point, is this is the opportunity right here, right now. Make a commitment, every single one of you. What is the commitment that you are going to make? And put it in the chat so we have a record of it. So you have made a public statement, and do it with integrity. What I mean by that is make a statement that you are willing to commit to in front of almost 400 witnesses, 400 people that are here to hear and observe your commitment to yourself. And the idea here is that you're going to stick to that for 30 days. And we would love to check in with you after 30 days to see how you've progressed with your action plan. Because, as I said, it's that commitment with the follow through that is going to bring you overall benefit. Now, some of you, I notice you're saying things like walk. How much are you going to walk? What's the commitment? Is it 15 minutes? If you're going to say, Ivan's saying start yoga, what does that look like? One yoga class a week for half an hour? So be very clear and specific as to the commitment that you're going to make. If your commitment, I think it was Michael, it was Maria, was restart couch to 5K. What does that look like in terms of your daily actions? How do you know you've done it? Because if you have non-specific activities or commitments, it's very hard to measure. Emma, earlier bedtime to allow earlier rise. What's the bedtime? 10 o'clock, 9:30. And are you able to tick the box to say, I went to bed by X time? And this is really where, if it's clear and specific, you are able to track and measure yourself. So yeah, I see some great things. 15-minute sunrise yoga each morning. That's a really good specific action. So minimum 1 hour yoga class session a week of 30 minutes. Fantastic. It's clear you can check in on yourself and you can measure. Studying for my driving theory test, Peter. How much are you going to study? How often? How regularly? So this is where, again, it's very clear and obvious that you've been able to maintain this commitment. So remember, SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, they're realistic, and you have the time to do it. And also, there's an O on the end of SMART, so it's a SMART O. And the O is ownership. It's your goal. It's your objective. It's not something your husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, mum, dad, colleague, friend wants you to do. It's something you want to do. So yeah, sing every day whilst washing up. Fantastic. Love that. And you know, just make sure that you are able to measure when you've done it. And Candy, I see your goal, but how does that translate to small daily commitments? What does that look like in terms of what am I going to do every day? Because that's great, but how do I know every day that I have ticked my wellbeing box? I would much rather you chose a small goal, like I'm going to do 10 squats every day, because then I could tick that off, right? Doesn't matter the weights or whatever, that's kind of an aspirational goal. But what am I doing every day, little by little, to take me towards the bigger things I want to achieve in my life? You know, 30 minutes of studying every day, it's easy to measure. Fantastic. So this is really where we can help you track your progress. Catherine's created the Little by Little journal to track your progress. You can download that free on our website. There is a link that's coming up where you can get access to that. So you can download it, use it online, print it, whatever you need. But it's there to ensure that you're able to track your progress. And we encourage you to find a buddy so you can do this together and hold each other accountable. So that's really what we wanted to share with you today, as well as flagging up all of the wonderful free resources that Catherine and the team have created for Stress Awareness Month. And we encourage you, now you've made your commitment, get onto social media and share it. So tag us in social media, put the hashtag Little by Little. Why is it important to share publicly or share with others your goals? What happens?
Makes you accountable.
It does. It's a lot harder to back out as well when you've told everyone. I signed up for my first triathlon in 4 years at the end of June. I took a break for a couple of years. I'm back on it now. And the first thing I did was tell everyone. Why? Because I'm less likely to find an excuse to not do it. So make your commitment and share it. Stick it onto social media. You can sign up to our weekly newsletter as well, where there's lots of useful tips and information every week. Catherine's going to drop in a link on how you can sign up for our weekly newsletter. We've got a brand new product which is going to help to guide you through to the point of making those commitments and support you with the ability to follow through and hold yourself accountable. For Stress Awareness Month, there's a £10 discount on that. It's £5 to go through the whole training program. Lots of other support resources there. And I'm also going to hand over to Catherine just to talk about all the other things that we can do to support you and any other ways that we can help.
Yeah, so just going back to Stress Care Protect, it actually perfectly aligns with our Stress Awareness Month, because these are little bite-sized video chunks of stress management training. So you can come and go as you please. So if you're keen to find something to align with the time and pace that suits you, then this is perfect for you. So I've just popped a few links in the chat. The first one shows more information. Second one is where you can access the exclusive discount. And if you're interested in signing up your organisation, if you can just submit your interest using the following form, I'll pop it in again, then we can get your whole team signed up as well.
Excellent. So just before we finish, I just want to make aware that if any of you are struggling or know people that are struggling, there's some support resources there on the screen. Samaritans, which is for people, particularly if they're feeling like suicidal. Mind has resources. We've got the Silver Line, which is a free helpline for older people in the UK. There's the Campaign Against Living Miserably, which is another wonderful resource, as well as obviously our website, which we've shared already, which is stress.org.uk. Catherine will reshare the links individually, because I think that if you click on one, it will just go straight to Stress Care Protect. We are a non-profit organisation. Your support is crucial for us to continue doing what we do. If you are able to help us in any way, there is a link there, a QR code, should I say, on screen, where you can help us out by donating whatever you're able to. We will be sharing the recording of this video to all of you that have attended live, as well as those that signed up that weren't able to attend live. And also, you are welcome to share this out with friends, family, colleagues, anyone else that you feel could benefit from this session. So that will be coming out to you by email tomorrow, as well as the links and any additional resources that you might require. Got got a few hands up. I'm going to hang out here for a few minutes. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, anything you want to discuss or share, feel free to stay on and we can have a chat. But other than that, thank you so much for attending. I'm wishing you the very best of luck with your 30-day challenge, with your little by little commitment. And I am confident, I am so confident that your life will be better for the commitments that you make to yourself in this moment. Have a wonderful month. See you back next month for our next webinar, which will be in May. We also have our Mental Health Champions program coming up in May. For any of you that would like to join us, please feel free to reach out. We will share some information on that by email as well. So just before we finish, any questions, comments, feedback, obviously feel free to put them in the chat. If anyone would like to share anything directly, I see Jess, you've got your hand up. Anyone else would like to share? Feel free to come onto the microphone. I'd love to hear from you. Dale and Craig have also got your hands up. So yeah, feel free to get involved. And Bianca.
It was just a quick one from me. Is there any possibility of having a CPD certificate?
Good question. I will find out and we'll drop you an email, Craig.
Okay.
Make a note of that.
It's just I can put it towards my NMC hours.
Yeah, I will check. I don't have the answer to that for you now, but I'll make sure we find out and come back to you.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Very informative. Cheers.
Thanks, Craig. Hi, Bianca.
Hi. Just wanted to say, obviously, with regards to it being Stress Awareness Month, at work for this month, obviously, I've provided lots of information and things to my colleagues as a health and wellbeing champion. But next week, we're holding a coping strategy session where we will all come together and discuss what we do to help us when we feel stressed, overworked, overloaded, etc. So we will all share ideas amongst the team. So it's more like an open discussion, not just emailing it to each other, etc. We'll all discuss it and give each other tips and everything. For me, one of the big things and my big downfall is I don't sleep well at night because I am one of those people that do actually look at the Facebook, the LinkedIn, the Instagram, and then the mind starts boggling and going on. So my challenge this month is to actually leave my phone downstairs when I go to bed at night and set the alarm clock as my clock and not my phone now. So the phone stays downstairs. I don't look at the phone in the evening and try to unwind that way without making my mind work more by looking at things and posts and then more things, worrying thoughts, etc. And I find that that's been helping me as well. So
fantastic. Well done, Bianca. And yeah, it's a good one. Unplugging from the matrix, even for brief periods of time, allows you to be present to what's actually happening. So yeah, amazing. Good luck with that, and looking forward to seeing how you get on when we catch up next.
Thank you.
Excellent. If anyone else would like to share, ask a question, discuss anything, now is your opportunity. As we've got a few more minutes before we close the meeting. So yeah, feel free to jump on if there's anything you want to share. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for all attending. It was amazing that we had about 450 people at its peak. It's really great that we get so many people that regularly attend our sessions. If you've enjoyed this session, please share it with friends, family, and colleagues. We will always offer this monthly session absolutely free of charge. And we can only make this happen if you guys turn up. So thank you for turning up.